enjoy the final panel and take it from here.
Don't be horny. Don't flirt too much. Don't be this, don't be that. It's time to turn your light back on. And when you doubt yourself, or people are hating on you, or they're not believing in you, or they're whatever they're doing, just close your eyes, say hi to your vagina, and remember who the fuck you are. Okay? All right, I'm going to introduce you. Power of the pussy. Okay. I'm Claude. I was a professional backup dancer for 18 years, so I toured, did commercials, music videos with J-Lo, Chris Brown, Karli Taylor, Demi Lovato, a bunch of other people that we're not here to name drop. And then in 2020, I had my son. And then in March of 2020, COVID happened. And the whole industry was closed, so we couldn't work. My husband is also a professional dancer forever. And so I was at home losing my mind. I had horrible postpartum depression and anxiety. Didn't know what postpartum or what depression or anxiety was my whole life. I was 38 when I had my son. Gave birth on my bed at home, no drugs, all natural. And when that hit, I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to kill myself for basically an entire year after having my son. And the shame that comes with that, I just want to give up, but I can't because I have to keep you alive. And every day spent at home and without her, I would be like, I need something to do, I need something to do, I just need something to do. And network marketing fell into my lap. January of 2021, I started selling skincare and makeup online and waking up to do these videos and go live and help these women, glow up with their skin, made me feel really good and got me out of my depression, gave me purpose. But during that time, I was also diagnosed with Hashimoto's autoimmune disease. So coming from being a dancer to having a fit body my whole life, never having more than what I eat, to now being 40 pounds overweight, extremely inflamed, extremely sick, with an autoimmune disease, I was like, hey, I give up. I give up. But I didn't give up, and I found functional nutrition. And I reversed my Hashimoto's disease, lost 35 pounds. And then after having those results, I heard someone on stage one day say, if you overcome the fucking problem, it's your fucking job to help others do it. And in that moment, I said, wow, I'm selling skincare and makeup, no more. I'm going to start my online coaching business, get certified in functional nutrition, and I've now helped over 700 moms do the same. And my magical gift is I do keep people accountable. I don't believe in small steps. Baby steps when you're capable of big motherfucking adult steps to get you to your goals. I don't believe in body positivity. I believe in treating your body positively. And And I don't believe in letting you have all your bullshit that's keeping you from leading the life you want to lead, that's keeping you from living in a body you're obsessed with. How many of you can look in the mirror naked and really love your body and find things that you love about it? How many? And if you can't, then it's time for a change. So, with that said, I'm just here to suffocate your bullshit and get you to live the life you want to live.
Woo!
Hi there, I'm Marisa Akley. I'm a mom of two. I am a wife. I am a daughter. And I think most importantly, I've learned how to be me. 2020, I'll give the abridged version. I went to a global conference. It was February. It was like that time. We all know it well. COVID was starting to heat up. I came home very, very sick. Ended up in the hospital. I was, after about a week and a half of battling whatever this was at home, I ended up on a ventilator. I was put in a medically induced coma, and I was suffering full organ failure. Went through that journey. I truly believe by the grace of God, I am here. And out of that came a loss. It's pretty open to everyone. I went into septic shock and basically was given last rites, and my family was called because they didn't think I'd make it. Well, I did, and again, I came out of that a bit battered and bruised. However, outside of what you see here in front of you, bilateral double amputee, is me. And I learned how to channel every cell of my being to reclaim my life. And I never knew at 47, I don't think, who I really was. And it didn't take becoming a bilateral double amputee. Maybe not, but for me, quite honestly, I look at it as a blessing. It's a fucked up blessing, but it's a blessing that's mine. So I'm here, to really kind of share pieces and parts of that journey. But let me tell you, I know fucked up.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you so much, ladies. What an honor to be here alongside with you all. Before we move on, and I love that you did this because I wanted to do something similar. You know how you have a special event, like maybe a celebration or a wedding or a competition, and then it's over and you're like, oh, I wish I would have enjoyed it more. I would love to do this for Brit. Would you stand right here in the middle and allow us to do a standing ovation for at least 30 seconds so that you can soak this moment that you have worked so hard for us? Yep. Yes? Let's do it. So, my name is Karina. I am an immigrant. I came here when I was 14 years old. I am a veterinary nurse. That's what I went to college for. That's what I wanted to do since I was very little. I am also a coach because in the process of learning my strength and finding my confidence, I fell in love with the needs in the fitness industry for female bilingual personal trainers. So I decided that after I found myself and my strength and I fell in love with fitness and what it did for me, I needed to do it for other women. And so I now own a woman-exclusive facility. I also coach bikini competitors, and I'm a mentor. I'm a mom of 3. I am a wife. And the reason why I get to sit in this amazing panel is none of those things. The reason why I get to sit in this panel is because in the past year, after having my last son in March of last year, he just turned 1, I went into, for the first time, feeling a bit blue, finding the need to have a coach to keep me accountable with my growth from home. I never thought of it as something that I was doing for myself, but rather for my business. I need to get myself back to who I was. Why am I having a hard time waking up early, getting things done? What's going on with me? Something's wrong with me. I need a coach. And what my coach helped me find is the real reason for my strengths, the real reason for why there's this ambitious warrior inside of me. And it was a piece of me that I had put in the back burner because that's just what I chose to do. I am the survivor of sexual abuse. I was sexually abused for 10 years when I was little, from the age of 4 to 14. And it wasn't until this past year that I decided to get comfortable with my story and own my fuckery. Because in that process, I was gonna help so many other women that have also gone through this, that also had to wake up that little fireball inside of them and be the strong girl and come out of the other side from these horrible experiences and are now doing amazing things. I was gifting all of my achievements to other pieces of me, but never giving the little girl inside of me that had to grow up so young and live these things any credit until this year. So I thank you for allowing me to be here, and I thank you guys for allowing me to be here, sharing my story and getting comfortable with my recovery.
All these fucked up blessings, huh?
All this fucked up blessings.
Right? I think that's such a great term. I'm going to use that. I'm sorry, I've just stolen it. I told you all, so I'm not really stealing it. But so I'm a definition person. I'm one of those people. I wrote down the definition of fuckery. Did you know there was one? So behaviors, circumstances, or situations that are nonsensical, foolish, or contemptible. Right? So why would we be up here talking about things that we've done or said that are foolish, or that would make people hold contempt for us? Well, if you look at my resume, I have a lot of letters after my name. I got a lot of stuff. I got a PhD in behavioral science. I'm an international fitness presenter. I'm a keynote speaker. I own 3 companies. I got a lot of stuff. But the stuff that matters is the stuff that's between the lines. The stuff that's not on the pages, the stuff that got me there. And for years, I didn't want to admit to most of that stuff. I just focused on the things that were in black and white on the paper. But that doesn't help anybody. When I was about 15, I started to exhibit symptoms of an eating disorder. I became really good at hiding them. By the time I was 19, I was full-blown anorexic, living in college, hiding everything. Suffered on and off with eating disorders for, I'm going to say, most of my 20s. Anorexic. I cured myself. I didn't do therapy, I didn't do anything like that, but I cured myself and I gave myself exercise, bulimia, and binge eating disorder. So I started eating again, but didn't know how to regulate things. Went all the way through PhD because that's what I do. I'm an overachiever. Maybe 20 years later, I realized because I just maybe wanted my father to say, "Good job." Wrong reason to get a PhD. Just saying, lots of money, time. But behavioral science was my thing. I did that for maybe a year and a half, and I always did fitness on the side. This is how old I am. Now you're gonna know how old I am. When 9/11 hit, I was working for the Department of Criminal Justice Services doing gang profiling, and they decided no funding for that anymore. Everything goes to terrorism. So I don't want to do that. I feel like if I spend all my time and energy on counterterrorism, then they win, right? That's what they want. They want us to focus all of our attention on them. So I quit. I quit my job with the state after going to school for 8.5 years and being really in debt to be a personal trainer. That was a good idea. But I quit my job and went on sabbatical because I was a PhD, so I could do that, my research. My research was, could I do this fitness thing and make it work? So I'm still kind of in fitness, but that's a whole nother story. I was a personal trainer, worked my way up within a company. I was a vice president of a fairly large fitness chain. There's 2 locations, maybe 3 locations locally. I won't name any names. And I had a lot of people on my team. I had 150 personal trainers underneath me, and I had a boss. And my boss was one of those people that would talk shit behind other people's backs. And all the people on my team were being affected by this. There was this cancer running through the company, and there were my team members that were being hurt by it. So I went out to lunch with my boss, the CEO of the company, and he took me to Chipotle. And I sat across the table, I'll never forget this, and I told him what was going on, and I said, you know, some people are really upset and they don't feel safe here. And he moved the food across the table and he put his hand on my face and he said, it's my fucking company and I'm gonna do what I want. Yup. So the next day, I was contemplating, like, what am I gonna do? I didn't have to worry because the next day I got fired. I was given a very nice severance to keep my mouth shut and never talk about, oops, why I left. And then I started my own company. I started a little fitness consulting business working on teamwork and team building, and I love the fact that you were talking about Patrick Lencioni because he's like, yeah, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, oh yeah. So that was kind of how I started my own business. Then I decided to buy a yoga studio. I wanted to do small business. While I was owning this yoga studio, while I was running it, people wanted to do bar. I am not a ballerina. There's a reason my mother didn't name me Grace. I literally got my heel stuck in my jeans and almost fell on my face today. I am not a graceful fucking human. But all the people in my studio wanted bar training, so I was like, all right. I went through and got 8 different bar certifications trying to find one that I liked to bring to my studio. I couldn't find one that I liked, so I wrote one. So I started that company. But then that company got too big and my yoga studio, it failed because I wasn't paying attention to it. So I sold that. Great business, really working hard, traveling the world, teaching people how to teach bar, started speaking at fitness conferences, started doing keynote speakers all over the country, all over the world. COVID hit. No more of that. Did you know that when you do speaking engagements online, they pay you like $125? That was my entire income was speaking, and now it was nothing. So during COVID, I wrote a certification for Fit Pros on how to deal with clients with eating disorders. I decided I was going to really lean into that. I wrote the certification, launched it, the company came back to me and they said, you know, I really don't think this is a real disorder. And I started speaking about how we as fitness professionals might be hurting people by the things that we say. It's as simple as like, oh, you look great, did you lose weight? That could be pretty harmful. And people stopped asking me to speak because I was too controversial. So this is actually the first time that I've sat in front of people with a microphone in my hand in quite some time.
Grew up at a very, very did have to, we kind of joke, I had to scream to be heard. But I was pretty meek. Most of my younger years growing up, I would butt heads, certainly with my father, but I didn't find my voice box until my 20s. And I really thought that I knew what confidence was. I thought I knew what self-worth was. And I then learned I was basing that off of my jobs, my titles, the amount of money I brought home. And then this happened. And I have to point to this because it is so visual, but what I learned during my illness, but then also my recovery, was reality. And that's where I think we really learn, first of all, what we're made of and how the hell we are going to move forward. From whatever situation it is, and I'm not saying, I've said this to a number of people here today, you don't have to lose your feet, be a bilateral amputee, to understand who you are. But I think it comes through your journey. And everybody in this room has a different one. Mine, let me tell you something. I ran around, I was telling people 3-inch heels, I didn't know what a flat shoe was. I was doing my thing, I was raising my kids, I was worried about school lunches and what was going on in PTA. And guess what? One day, my life was taken, but not quite. So I learned through that journey, later in life, taking the tools I had brought with me along the way, but really learned how to execute on my vision. And my vision at one point was not something that I particularly wanted to think about, look at. I was telling some people today, when I was in the hospital, I would have the nurses just put sheets over my feet. I mean, I couldn't look at them. I couldn't face what was ahead of me until finally, at which point I decided I ran the table. And it was my choice, it was my resilience, it was my strength that was innate that I needed to combine and use that to move myself forward.
After you, Marisa, I think your life is what, gives you that power. I don't think I was born with it. I think it's more of the situations in life that you have to overcome, and just like a baby learning to walk, right? Every time you fall and you fall on your face, you come up and you're like, oh, look at me. I was able to come back up. The same thing. I recently was visiting the moments, right, that have made me strong, and I think that all of us can sit here and think of when did I have to believe in myself, right? For me, confidence is self-trust. And when did I have to, just be there for myself? Along the timeline. And that's when I can say that confidence was born. Just overcoming all of those tiny little obstacles, coming across the other side and being like, look at me. One more.
If I was born with it, I definitely suppressed it for a long time. Yeah, I grew up with an alcoholic, abusive father and a mother who I thought I had to protect. From the time I understood how to talk or stand or whatever, two, I think I started to protect my mom from my dad. I never had confidence in myself, I just had a mission. So I never thought about being confident, I just thought about what I had to do, if that makes sense. I was always trying to do things to be better, to be smarter, to get that approval that I was seeking. Nothing I did was ever good enough. I would come home with a 99 and my father would say, what happened? I would come home with a second place and he would that's second loser. All of those things always made me want to be better, but for all the wrong reasons. So the whole eating disorder journey, there was so much shame attached because I wasn't perfect. And I just kept burying it and burying it and burying it. And through lots of self-inquiry and therapy and all sorts of stuff, I realized that it was because of all this never being good enough and seeking approval that I was never going to get. So the moment that I really came into my confidence was when I decided at age 29 that I was going to confront my father, who was disabled. He had had a number of strokes. He was in a wheelchair, just not a nice human. He was living on his own because my mother finally divorced him. When I was 5, I told my mother to divorce the bastard, but that's another story. I wasn't confident at all. So I went to my father's apartment, and he had the TV on super loud, and I turned the TV down, and I said, Dad, I just need to talk to you about something. And he looked at me, and I said, you know, I've been doing all of these things because I just want you to tell me that you're proud of me. I just want you to tell me that you love me. And you've never said either one of those things, and I just want to know why. And he looked at me, and he said, are you done? I said, yeah. He took the remote, turned the TV back up, and looked at it. And I was like, all right. That was a thing that I had wanted to do for 28 years. I didn't think I was going to get the answer that I wanted. I was pretty sure I wasn't. But there was always that, I'm not sure, in the back of my head. So now I get my answer. And nothing's going to be worse than that. So here I go.
I'm going to go right ahead. I will say overcoming postpartum depression and suicidal ideation really gave me a whole level of confidence of like, well, if I can survive that and let myself out of that, I can do it.
You lived a change, and then you lived in clinical life through all of your situations, there has been some type of feeling where you either avoided or you suppressed. You supposed to suppress at some point, and you since, I assume, have recovered from all of that. What advice would you give to people who are still currently doing this? Still depressing, still hiding, still unsure, unaware of who they are, and how to fully embody either what's happened to them or what they're going through to be able to move forward?
I would say, give yourself like some really hard shit to do every day. Specifically, like take a 5-minute cold plunge at 40 degrees every day. I do it. Get up earlier than you normally would get up and go lift some weights like you said you would do. And do it every day for 5 days. And then make yourself do breath work as well, because where I fell short was I was living in my masculine energy so much. And it got me to where I built a 7-figure business in 18 months. Healed my Hashimoto's, lost 35 pounds. I removed my implants after 18 years of having them. And then I found myself with like a 10 to 12 pound weight gain. And my TSH levels had doubled, which if you know what thyroid syndrome hormone is, it's high. Your thyroid is not working properly, which is caused by dysregulated nervous systems and stress and all this stuff I didn't know I was doing. And so you have to balance doing the hard shit, like show every day, show yourself who you are and what you're capable of. And say, I'm going to do this for 6 months and show up every day and do it, because at the end of that 6 months, you're not going to be the same woman. But at the same time, balance that with breath work and pleasure and joy and remembering to spend time with your kids off your phone, doing things that you love to do, like turning on Justin Bieber and cooking. I don't do that, but I'm saying it's an idea. I love him. I haven't played music and I don't even know how many years, and I would just be like business, money, like kind of like how you said, that's where I found my value. So if you're in that spot, just dedicate yourself to becoming a better human. Find a coach that will help you come up with a plan to do that. And then show up and do it. And every day, go to bed going, I showed up and did what I said I was going to do. I trust myself, I respect myself, I honor myself, and I talk with myself. And it's that's what happened when I was going through postpartum. I just made a decision when I committed to my health. I don't eat dairy, gluten, sugar, or drink alcohol, you guys, and I've had it for 2 years. People are like, oh, sugar, oh my God, my pain, and this and that. I would rather live and be healthy and live in a body that I love. And it's hard as fuck, but every night and every day I wake up and I'm like, you can't tell me shit. It's like, do the hard thing. So if you're there, do hard shit.
So, the question was, what would I say to others struggling? Well, the very first thing I'm going to say is, it's a freaking journey. It isn't, right? You always hear it's the journey, it's not the destination. Well, it is a journey, because in my opinion, I ain't done. I mean, I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't know if I was telling anybody specifically today, but I was sharing this story that I think it was with my coworkers yesterday. You know, when I go to the doctor and I take my legs off and I look at my limbs, I'm struggling. Still, 4 years, every day, I look at my limbs, I see them, I clean them, I ice them, I do all kinds of things. And I'm still struggling. So, a big part of my recovery and my continued recovery is prayer. It's my thing. Not everybody, but let me tell you something. And I'm not perfect. Every day I'm not perfect. But every day I try to wake up, and the first thing I do before the 8 ounces of water is thank you, dear God, for this day. And I do better in the morning than at night, but at night I try to do the same thing. And then I ask him to bless my children, my family, my husband, and my dog. And that, to me, I think is something that doesn't have to be prayer, doesn't have to be religious. It can be something that inspires you to remember who you are and how you got to where you are. And I was funny, I was looking through my phone a while ago, and I came across a gratification journal I had written before I got sick. How I saved it, I don't even know, I don't even remember. But I saw that I was being true to myself by being grateful for what was in my life at that time. So I took that and I just kind of morphed that a little bit. But I think the biggest thing for me anyway, first it's a journey. I'm not there. Legs aside, whatever the situation is, it's a journey. But my remedy is believing in something that's bigger and some force that's bigger than me.
So 3 things are coming up for me. The first one is know that you're not alone, right? Everybody in this room has an aspect of themselves that they're working on, that they can improve, that they can bring to life, that they can address. The second thing is lean into something, a community, a coach, a therapist, yourself, doing hard things, whatever it is, right? Journaling, breath work. Find something that you feel, and feel free to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, right? Try it. Your friend might do the cold plunge. I could not even fathom the idea, but that works for her, right? So it's leaning into multiple things until you find the thing that helps you work through your story, through the things that you're ready to bring up and start working on. And then the third thing, which is what particularly worked for me, is finding a why I wanted to do this, right? Putting a purpose behind it. My entire life, I kept my story in the back burner because it wasn't pleasant. There's a saying in Spanish that goes, entre uno más revuelve la mierda más huele. The more you stir the shit, the more it smells. And that's the thought that I always applied to my story. So I didn't want to stir the shit, right? I'm this successful overachiever, 3 businesses under my belt, 2nd marriage, complete success, 3 kids. Why do I want to bring this? I don't want people to know me as that girl. I want people to know me as this woman. But when my coach turned the coin on me and said, okay, well, that's cute. And what about all the other people that you're not helping, that you can actually really help, right? And I was like, oh, I hate you. Because that was it. I'm a helper, right? I love serving women. I love empowering you. And here I am holding back this huge part of me that could potentially really help you and take you to the next level, because maybe you too have something that you're holding on to, that you're not proud of, that you don't like, that smells like shit, that you're not allowing, that you're not working on, that you're not trying to heal from, that you're not trying to, do the hard work to get to that next version of you, right? That 3.0, 4.0. We're all in this room, we're already in the 2.0 versions of ourselves, right? So what's next? Exploring that, it's part of the work, but finding the why behind it, the real purpose behind it, whether if it's the legacy you want to leave for your kids, or just becoming a better leader, a better boss, a better, healing things, talking to your family members, whatever it is, visit that. Visit the why. Ask yourself those 5 whys of why do I want to do this? What is it going to get me? Who is it going to benefit? So you can really explore the reason behind doing it and know that you're not alone.
The shame lives in the shadows, right? Shame grows when nobody talks about it, and that's where it thrives. So the more we don't talk about something, the more energy we're really spending on it.
Yeah.
The more energy it takes to hold it in and bury it and lie, right? Not just to other people, but to ourselves. And I realized that, especially in my story with the fitness industry, I had an eating disorder. I'm a fitness professional. Who the fuck's gonna wanna pay me money to get fit if I can't get my own shit together? So I hid it. I buried it, lied. And then I realized I'm not being myself. I'm not being true to myself. I'm not being genuine. I've got to say something. And it was so scary to let that out and say something. And when I did, my entire business changed. My entire world changed. Because I became more human, right? I became more relatable. But not only that, I realized how much time, how much energy, how much of myself I was using trying to bury that stuff. And now I had all of this time, all of this love, all of this energy that I could spend on the good stuff. So if you have this thing that you're just burying and you can keep putting all sorts of stuff on top of it, but it's still down there and you're still working to hold it down there. Imagine how much time, how much energy, how much of you would have left if you didn't spend it on the thing.
I don't think we brought that up because sometimes social media always sees a highlight reel, and we just think everyone's perfect, and that's where this imposter feeling actually comes from. And I think the more authentic we are, the more we embrace the stuff that's going on in our life, the more we just kind of put it out there. And it's not we're not just journaling on Instagram, but the more we express how we learn from it, or overcame it, or whatever we need to overcome in order to truly live the life we call to live, I think that's what other women will start to do as well. We essentially are getting permission by improving ourselves. I'm curious how, and anyone who wants to be interested, or whoever it applies to, how important was forgiveness throughout your journey to go through your soul? Whether it's forgiving yourself, forgiving someone else, how important is the idea of forgiveness to your journey?
Well, I think Karli was saying part of it, when you hold on to shame, or when you don't forgive, it's that same thing that manifests into this nasty energy in your body. So I think forgiving yourself, we've all fucked up, we've all made so many mistakes, we've hurt people, and not a single human being is walking on this planet without having made a mistake or having done something to others or thinking of them. So I think forgiving yourself is huge, and also forgiving other people. Whatever, they made mistakes, they happen. That's in the past.
would say that for me personally, I look at my journey as something that does not define me. It is something that happened to me. And what my choice then is what to do next. And that's what defines me. And so I didn't have the feeling to forgive or have to forgive myself or the situation or, I mean, I can be nasty too, but from that perspective, I never really didn't hurt myself. But on top of it, the piece that was most important to me was that I would never be defined by something that happened. It was more about that journey home.
That's big. Gosh, you just changed my entire answer. I think this is a big one for me. When I think of the word forgiveness, there is still a piece of me that is hurt, right? And I forgive myself for that. So I'm going to apply the forgiveness portion to those feelings, right? We think of not forgiving as something negative. But when we are victims of trauma, in this case, to me, at a young age, for 10 years by a family member, it's forgiveness, resonates a little different. So I love to use it towards myself and forgiving myself for being hard on myself, forgiving myself for not loving myself, forgiving myself for holding this for so long and not allowing the little girl inside of me that was waiting for me to shine some light on her. Forgiving another person, it's a little bit harder, especially because of my story, which you guys will get to hear in length at another time or when I finish writing my book. But that's what's coming out for me when it comes to forgiveness. It depends on the situation, right? And it doesn't apply to all the same.
I have a tough time with the word forgiveness because to me it implies it's okay.
Right.
Right? When you forgive someone, it just in my head, and it's just, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And I don't feel that way about a lot of things. But what I've really learned over the years is I don't have to forgive someone else. All I have to do is not internalize what they're giving to me. All I have to do is understand that that's their shit. And the reason that they're treating me like this is because they haven't dealt with their shit. And sometimes I end up walking away actually kind of feeling badly for them. So I don't know if that's forgiveness, but I think that's how I own forgiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add too, I'm a firm believer that nothing happens to you is nothing for you, so you make that mistake. When I was going through postpartum, I felt very sorry for myself, and I was very victim mentality, but it was my biggest gift. I would not be standing on this street had that not happened to me. It's also hard to be there, right? So there's some people who go through situations or are currently in that was like, that wasn't for me. But I think as someone who really said that myself, 30 years ago, can tell you as time progresses and you learn the lessons and things start to evolve within your soul and your mission in this world, whether it's sharing it on stage and becoming a woman, or just learning to be yourself and responsible to sing, eventually there will be a gift or a light from that. Absolutely. Let's talk about future fuckery. Plans for the future. Future goals for you guys. Like, even if you're all badasses, you're in your own rights, and you're all like, yeah, like, I feel like, I think we all kind of feel too, but we're not done. We're so young, and feisty. What else you got in mind? Well, I just discovered like 2 months ago that I am a woman, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm not kidding. Like, I've had male mentors. I was like, oh my God, I can do this, my God, and start the gym like this was me, and it got me to where I needed to go. But literally, I'm like tapping into my feminine now, letting my husband leave, which is like, oh my
God.
That's what I'm doing, and it's scary as fuck. To not be in control and really not put my value in how successful I am, but more as a mother and as a wife. Like my husband is amazing. He kept me alive during the struggle of my family. So for me, it's doing more feminine things. I have a course launching on Monday, and I'm really excited to help other women tap into their feminine and reawaken their vagina. And one of my biggest questions is like, where does our libido go in our 40s after we have kids? And I know like hormones play a part in it, but I think that we were so disconnected from our true power because it's such a patriarchal world. And so for the future, I just hope to be like my most feminine, graceful self, have lots more sex with my husband, and help other women tap into that too.
Sign me up.
How do I top that? For me, it's kind of a two-pronged scenario. One is right at this moment, you all met Megan Baker, who was on the last panel. I am currently working for Megan in her business. She is looking to expand the business. She talked about that a little bit, and I'm the execution, right? So Megan's the visionary on execution. And the way I look at my current state is it's about seeing an opportunity that I can serve and help others. And on a daily, right, outside of my family and things like that, I look to Megan and her business to really catapult forward. And for me, it's more about the gratification and the joy, really, that comes out of helping Megan build her business in the vision that she sees it. The longer term is I really want to write a book. So I'm getting a lot of my thoughts down. I think I'm in the right place. I
Yes.
get people in the business now are Megan's marketing firms and public relations firms to do that. But I also think that was a blessing that came about very organically. And Megan knows that. She knows that's a goal of mine. And so I think longer term, I really, from a pragmatic perspective, want to share my story in forms like this, but really try to bring some of the positivity that I think I shed on my situation at least to others.
That's amazing. Sign me up for your course. Give me all the information. So this is going to sound a bit off for someone that has her hands on so many things, but my immediate goal is literally to do less. I think that we overachievers thrive on doing so much, right? Go, go, go. I did this, I did that. I got checks on my to-do list. And right now I am in the learning phase of doing less. I actually gave up waking up at 4 in the morning as of February. And I am now a nice mom all the way up until my kids go to bed. And it literally took someone else to call it out. Like, what about just saying, what if you don't wake up at 4 in the morning anymore to do your meditation, to do your stretches, to get your administrative work done during the quiet times, and then all these badass, be things out of the way, and you actually slept until your kids woke up. Maybe you wouldn't be exhausted, irritable, and unhappy with being a mom at 7, 8, 9 p.m. And I was like, wow, why didn't I think of that? So that is what I'm stepping into. I want to continue to lead my team and my gym. I want to continue to step into the opportunities of speaking and mentorship that come along the way. I actually just got invited to speak in front of my dream in the future, which is high school teens. non-conventional high school, like you guys were mentioning. I'm going to be there on Tuesday, and that fired me up. I literally closed my schedule. I was like, yes, that's what I want to be in. But other than that, continuing to write my book, which I've been writing since my best friend told me to do so, and I have it in notes in my phone. Am I going to hyper-focus on it and finish it? No. I'm just going to do less and enjoy this. Enjoy right now, so that in 10 years, when we talk about it, I can remember it firmly and carry all this beautiful energy from you ladies with me.
I'm nodding and smiling like, that sounds great, do less. And I'm about to tell you about the 50 things that are going to go on this new section of my website that's called Future Fuckery, because I love that. No, but you just said it, and now I'm like making notes in my head. Future Fuckery, that is wonderful. I'm doing a lot more of this type of speaking engagement. I'm starting something with a colleague called the Ahimsa Project. Ahimsa is do no harm. And it's working with fitness professionals and people in the wellness community to try to do a little bit better. Really talking about being trauma sensitive, talking about eating disorders, really taking a hard hit at the toxic diet culture and the fitness industry, which, yes, has paid my bills for almost 30 years. But there's too much punk rock in my soul to not go at it, because it bothers me every single day. And then I do a lot of speaking at junior high schools and high schools for eating disorders. And I do a lot of work with NIDA, so I speak at all of the local NIDA walks, so maybe I'll see that.
So I led a little bit, because maybe I want to be part of that, and I want to be part of that. We'll see. Sign me up for your feminine course. Tell me up for that.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Yep.